3 hours into my night shift, that's when things started to feel off. The highway stretched out before me like a black ribbon, empty except for the occasional truck passing in the opposite direction. My route was mostly farms and a few scattered trailer parks, the kind of places where lights go out early and stay out. The GPS kept saying my ETA was fine, so I kept both hands on the wheel, my forgotten coffee getting cold in the cup holder. Just another night. Just another delivery. It was 2:14 a.m. when I first noticed them. Headlights. In my rearview mirror. Bright. Too bright. And too close. At first, I thought it was just another trucker, someone riding my tail on this narrow two-lane road. It happens. People get impatient, especially at night when the roads are empty and time feels elastic. I moved over when there was room, giving them space to pass. That's the unwritten rule out here. If someone wants to go faster, you let them. No ego, no competition, just courtesy. But they didn't pass. The lights matched my speed exactly. They stayed glued to that exact spot behind me, like they were tethered to my truck by an invisible rope. It got under my skin. About a mile up, I saw a small turnout, just a widening of the shoulder where you could pull off safely. I took it. Maybe they just wanted to pass and didn't have the visibility. Maybe their high beams were stuck on. There had to be a reasonable explanation. The engine downshifted as I pulled in. I put it in park and watched in my side mirror as the lights behind me slowed and stopped about 20 feet back. And then they just stayed there. For a while, nothing else happened. The road was quiet, except for crickets and the low hum of my heater. I checked the back through my window. Nothing unusual. No trailer attached to their vehicle, no hazard lights, no signs of distress. I considered honking. Just a quick beep to ask, "Hey, you okay?" But something stopped me. The night felt heavier than it should have. Thicker, like the darkness was pressing against the windows. Then, just as I started to put the truck back into gear, the high beams cut off. Total darkness behind me. For a second, and I know how this sounds, the relief was almost ridiculous. That simple click of the lights going off made me laugh. A nervous, stupid laugh. Maybe they'd realized they were blinding me. Maybe they were just tired and decided to rest here too. But then I heard it. A single door opening in the darkness. I didn't see a figure yet. The dome light in their vehicle must have been off because there was no illumination at all. I told myself someone had just stopped for a reason. Bathroom break. Checking a tire. Something normal. I reached across and opened my passenger door, peeking out. Maybe they needed help. Maybe they were waving at me and I just couldn't see. There was nothing but the shoulder and an empty field stretching into blackness. But right at the edge of my headlights, just beyond where they reached, I saw something. A patch of ground looked disturbed. Dark impressions in the dirt. Footprints? My heart kicked hard against my ribs. I locked the doors, both of them. My hands were shaking as I reached for the ignition, started the engine, and eased back onto the road. I didn't look back. I couldn't. But as I merged onto the highway, my eyes flicked to the rearview mirror. The headlights came back on, as if nothing had happened, as if that door had never opened. They fell in behind me again, matching my speed with that same unsettling precision. I tried the radio, cycling through channels, looking for any voice, any sign of life. Nothing, but static and dead air. Even the emergency channels were silent. 70 miles per hour, 75, 80. The lights stayed exactly the same distance behind me. The next exit appeared like a gift from God, a sign for a small town, population 847, and beneath it, 24-hour services. I took it without hesitation. The truck followed. Of course it did. I turned into a gas station, one of those old ones with fluorescent lights that buzz and flicker. But right then, it was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. Lights, people, safety. When I pulled in, the truck followed in right behind, like it had been the only other vehicle alive on the roads that night. I got out fast, my legs unsteady. The fluorescent lights washed everything in harsh white light. I turned around, ready to confront whoever had been following me. There was nothing. No truck in the lot, no vehicle behind me, no tire tracks in the wet ground, and it had been drizzling earlier, so there should have been tracks. It was as if something had been there, only until I wasn't looking. I stood there for a full minute, just staring at the empty space. A couple came out of the gas station, gave me a weird look, and got in their car. Normal people, normal night. Everything normal except me. I called dispatch. Dispatcher Tenny through a phone. Unit 47, what's your status? Narrator voice slightly shaky. Hey, dispatch. I know this is going to sound strange, but has anyone been tracking behind me on the route? Another truck, maybe? Dispatcher, Tinny through a phone. Negative 47, you've been clear on GPS the whole way. No other vehicles in your vicinity for the last 90 minutes. Narrator, are you sure? Because something definitely was. Dispatcher, Tinny through a phone. I'm looking at your tracking right now. You're alone out there. You feeling okay? Need me to send someone? The gas station had cameras. I asked the attendant, a tired young guy in his 50s with kind eyes, if I could see the footage from when I pulled in. He was reluctant at first, but something in my face must have convinced him. He took me to the back office. The footage was grainy, black and white, time-stamped at 2:47 a.m. And there I was, my truck pulling into the lot. Alone. Completely alone. The camera angle showed the entrance clearly. There was no vehicle behind me, no headlights, nothing. But here's the thing that made my blood run cold. In the frames where my rearview mirror should have picked up the space behind my truck, there was a glitch. A brief smear of light, distorted and wrong, like something had interfered with the recording. Then clean footage again. The attendant shrugged. He said, old cameras, they glitch sometimes. Happens a lot on foggy nights. It hadn't been foggy. I left the gas station as the first hints of dawn began to soften the eastern sky. Dispatch told me to finish the route or bring the truck in, my choice. I finished it. I don't know why. Maybe I just needed to prove to myself I could. The next day, technically the same day, after I'd slept a few fitful hours, I drove back out to that turnout. Daylight makes everything different, less threatening, more real. The disturbed patch of ground was still there. Footprints, half sunken in the damp earth, leading from where that vehicle would have been, straight into the field. They went about 40 feet before they just stopped. No final impression, no return path. And here's what made my skin crawl. No wheel marks, no tire tracks, no oil stains, no evidence that a vehicle had ever been there at all. Just footprints, leading into an empty field, leading nowhere. I still drive that route. Night shifts, same highway, same exit. Dispatch says the GPS never showed anyone behind me. The camera footage at the gas station was explained away as a technical glitch. The footprints? Could have been anyone. Could have been there for days. Everyone has an explanation. Except me. Because I know what I saw. I know what followed me that night. Sometimes when I'm driving late, around 2:14 a.m., always around that time, I check my mirrors more than I should. And sometimes, just for a second, I think I see them again. Headlights. Too bright. Too close. But when I look again, there's nothing there. Nothing but the empty road. And the feeling that something is watching from just beyond where the light reaches. They told me old cameras glitch. I know what I saw.